I sold the best car I've ever owned. And in this video, I'm gonna share why and what's next. And if you're new to the channel, my name's Tyler Royke. If you like cars, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that I can share more about my car journey with you in the time ahead. And for some context, I've owned my 2008 Corvette Z06 for the past 6.5 years, added an incredible 27,000 miles on the clock. It's been the best car I've owned in terms of performance, fun, cost of service. All I've had to do is regular maintenance, oil changes, filter changes, brake fluid. With the exception of mufflers, the original one started deteriorating. I added Corsa Extremes, and I'm glad I did. I wish I did that a heck of a lot sooner. If you own a Z06, get the Corsa Extremes. And best looking car, I mean, just such a gorgeous car. I'd always look back at it. And some of the best memories I've ever had in a car to date, from going to the tip top of Pikes Peak on the 4th of July, 2017, when I bought the car. I actually picked up my wife for our very first date in that exact car. And it was not long after I got it. That brings me to why though. Well, I'm at a point in my life where I really feel stagnant having owned the same car 6.5 years. As crazy as that might sound, I never intended to keep it forever though. I didn't buy it thinking, I'm gonna have this car for the rest of my life. Reality is, I have a super long list of cars that I want to own and experience in my life, and time is limited. And reality is, I can't have too many cars that I own 6.5 years unless I'm building a massive stable, which, stay tuned, that's part of the vision. But at the end of the day, I mean, how many cars can you own if you're gonna own every one for 6.5 years if you have a vision and aspiration like I do to get all these cars and experiences under your belt while you have the time to do so. So for me, if I were to keep it for the long term, I would want to do more than just the regular maintenance items. I'd want to do some more preventative maintenance. I don't want to get it as close to a 10 out of 10 example as possible. And it's not that it's far off right now, but I never really did more than the regular maintenance. So there's ways you can really tune up the car, get more power to the wheels out of it. And I always have in the back of my mind, if I really want to keep it long term, that's something I want to do, but it's either put all those thousands of dollars into it or move on. And ultimately, my garage space is limited right now. Unfortunately, I have a 2-car garage. And so the question is, do I allocate one of those longer term, or do I get more of the bigger vision in motion sooner rather than not? So I decided past few months that, this is gonna happen sometime in the next year. I'm going to move on and put something else in the Corvette's place, something that is a big step in the direction I wanna go as far as future cars on the list of what you will see here in the channel in the future. I didn't expect it to happen this soon, but through endless hours of browsing, I mean, you're a car person, you probably do this as well, right? You're browsing online, but I found just the right replacement, for now at least. And so I decided to trade the Z06 in. And in doing so, I got more than I paid for the car, even though I've added 27,000 miles and a heck of a lot of smiles in the process in the past 6.5 years. And while I could have gotten more listing it myself, accounting for the tax savings due to the trade-in, and also not having to go and shell out about $3,000 worth of maintenance that was pretty well due at this time, and also going through the process of prepping the car for sale, finding the right buyer. For me to trade it in is what made the most sense, accounting for everything. And a lot of thought went into that, but at the end of the day, accounting for all those factors, I would have been within $2,000, and I think that's being generous, but realistically about $2,000 from what I could have gotten on the open market, an additional money back in my pocket, accounting for everything. So I decided to go for it and ultimately secure what's next for the garage, which brings me to, well, what is that? Well, I can tell you a lot about it, but I figure at this point, let me just show you. So let's take a look. That's right, not one, but two twin turbocharged Porsches. We got the 2014 Cayenne Turbo S and the 2014 911 991 generation Turbo. And I am so stoked. Honestly, this wasn't really expected. I had wanted a Cayenne Turbo S for quite a while. Very peculiar on the spec. This one hit the mark perfectly. White with red interior, black wheels, and it's got an upgraded exhaust, just the way I would have wanted it. Perfect history, all that good stuff. And then this thing came along. I was not expecting this at all. Never had a 991 on my list of cars. Now that being said, 911s are phenomenal cars. I've always had that in my mind. In fact, I got to experience a 911 Carrera S when these were new, around the time they were new, and I was shocked at how well it performed. Got to ride along on a autocross, and I could not have been more amazed. But I didn't have this on the list of cars I really wanted and aspired. If anything, I always wanted a 997 turbo, previous generation. This was the first year of the 991, and I never really looked into them, crazy enough. But knowing what I know about 911s and turbos, and you know it's going to be a phenomenal car. But I saw this car come up, phenomenal deal on it. At the time of my purchase, this was the lowest price, clean, especially one owner, and high options 991 in the US. I think it has about $32,000 in options, to give you an idea. It has almost all the Turbo S options. It even has the Sport Chrono package, which magazines tested this car 0 to 60 about 2.8 seconds, to give you an idea. And this thing's fast too, don't get me wrong. I mean, 0 to 60 in 4 seconds? Are you kidding me? It feels almost as fast as the Z06. It's just a different kind of fast. You put the foot down at speed on this, it just keeps hauling. It's like a freight train. It's crazy. But this thing is a whole nother animal, the 911 Turbo. I am stoked to share more about both these vehicles with you on this channel. We got the silver with red interior, white with red interior. In case you didn't know, I like red interiors. So, you know, it's funny, I was just about to post the video, but it just didn't feel right without some exhaust. And you know what? Let's just take a quick drive in each of these. I'll tell you what, this Cayenne Turbo S is an incredible driving car. In fact, I would say it's the best driving vehicle I have owned to date, even above and beyond the Corvette Z06. All around, hands down, Cayenne Turbo S is, it's incredible, because it's not just sport, it's not just fast, it truly is a luxury vehicle. It's kind of every single experience you could want or possibly need. But you know what, let's see what the acceleration's like a little bit. It's still getting warmed up, so I'm not going to go too crazy, but it's just so easy to put the pedal down and you're absolutely flying at any speed, and it's just an all-around incredible vehicle. You know, I previously had a 2010 Cayenne GTS. That was one of the favorite vehicles I've had so far. I just always loved driving it. It was always fun to drive, to put the pedal down. It's not necessarily as fast as a sports car, but for an SUV, it really got up and went. And it was fun to drive in the corners, fun to put the pedal down. Always had a great exhaust note as well. And this one, I mean, honestly, the only place the Cayenne GTS beats it is the actual exhaust note. I'll talk more on comparison, but I mean, truly a phenomenal exhaust that one had from the factory. This one, the turbos muffle it down, but then again, you get the benefit of the twin turbos. So you got the big V8 beefed up with twin turbos. You got a double shot of espresso powering you between those two forces, but just such a sweet car. I love the carbon fiber. Don't know how well you can see it in the video, but the carbon fiber, red stitching, all the details are there. It's truly an incredible driving experience. But you know what we gotta do now? We gotta hop in the 911 Turbo, so let's check it out. The 911 Turbo is something else. It's an entirely different stratosphere than anything I've ever owned before, Z06 included. I mean, the Z06 is fast, it's fun, it freaking goes when you put the pedal down, but this, it almost feels like warp speed by comparison. But what's even crazier is how planted it is and how well it puts the power down. I mean, with all-wheel drive, it is seamless. I mean, if you go back 2014, this was one of the fastest cars in the world. 911 Turbo S, which is the upgraded version of this, was the fastest car you could buy, I believe under $800,000 at the time. So crazy, but you know what? We're still getting warmed up, but let's see just a little bit about what it's all about right here, right now, driving the 911 Turbo. And I'm in regular mode. It's actually got the Sport and Sport Plus. This has the Sport Chrono package, which is one of the options the 911 Turbo S has. Mine also does have the center locking wheels, so I have a couple of the major things that people got the Turbo S for. I do like the red brakes. I know it's probably not a big factor if you really want the Turbo S, but I love the spec on this thing. That played into a big part of the reason why I decided to actually pull the trigger on it. Spec was exactly what I would want out of a 911. We're gonna put it in sport mode right now just to get a sense of the difference. And I can actually use the shifters on the steering wheel, not paddle shifters, but you can use either side to go down or up, as I just showed there. But you put the pedal down, it just freaking goes. Like nothing else. So the only place the Z06 truly does have it beat is the sound, but not necessarily a fair comparison, because I did have the Corsa Extreme catbacks on the Z06. This is completely stock. I'm not a big fan of how it sounds at idle, but at wide open throttle, this has a great sound to it. When you're on the gas, when you downshift, I like the way it sounds factory, and when you put in Sport and Sport Plus, it does make it sound more aggressive in both those settings. Sport Plus is the best as far as the actual sound of the vehicle. Biggest problem I have now though is I need a bigger garage. But these are gonna hold me over for at least a little while. I expect to have them both maybe about 1 to 3 years tops each, I would expect. I've got more on the list, more on the horizon, but like I said, in the meantime, I'm gonna work on getting a bigger garage. And between now and then, stay tuned on the channel because I wanna share more about these cars with you and be a part of my automotive journey. If you love cars, hit that subscribe button and I will see you on the next video. Peace out.